Dude, you've been doing a lot of stuff. I've been watching you, man. You're like, I love your videos, like the functional flow state stuff, and your videos are super valuable. Some of the stuff, I mean, I'll see your stuff and I've learned from your videos, and you're constantly working with other like fitness professionals in this area.
Yep.
And I love that. And then also you do a podcast and you talk about like the conscious mind, and you talk about like all sorts of stuff that, you know, like the universe, and you talk with folks that are talking about like the holistic approach. And I absolutely love that because there's so much to it. And obviously like my podcast is Think Big, Live Better. It's all about really or that's my motto, but you know, the Think Big, Live Better thing is all about like gaming your mind, like trying to like dive deep into your mind, understanding your existence, what your calling is, what your passions are, like what they truly are. Because you'll never accomplish anything, you know, bigger than your biggest ambition. So you have to think bigger to achieve bigger, and you're very much about that. Dude, we played football together
Yep.
my freshman year. You were the kicker. We did special teams. Dude, that year of football was awesome. I didn't do a lot on the football team, but like I learned so much from that coaching staff. That coaching staff was so killer, man.
Oh, yeah, I agree. And just to piggyback off that, I got to hang out with them last year. We had the 10-year reunion from our 2012, whatever, what were we won conference that year. And it was the biggest finish that Concordia had done in forever. And we just got together after 10 years and I got to see everybody again. And we just picked up right where we left off. The chemistry was real. The love that we had for each other was real. I too learned so much from playing football 4 years, 3 years under Coach Priest, who was the fucking man. I
yeah,
mean, I picked up so much from him just about leadership and culture. I think culture is a really big deal. And I think that's what we felt when we were there was the culture was high impact and everybody loved each other and we were all playing for one another. And that's why we gelled so well. And I take that culture stuff that I learned from Coach Priest. And, you know, I'm fortunate enough to have a bunch of good coaches in my life to just, I guess, take that same approach into my business and build something beautiful from a strong culture standpoint. And I think if you have that, you have something special. And I think that's what we were experiencing back then.
yeah, man. Do you think that's the reason why? So you also host a podcast and you own
Mhm.
a business. Did you start that business, the Underground Fitness in where is it? Where's it at in Illinois? I know
It's
it's
in Parkridge, Illinois. So we're just like 10 minutes outside of the O'Hare Airport, 20 minutes away from downtown. Parkridge is awesome because we're literally 20 minutes away from everything. We have all the expressways here, 20 minutes downtown, 20 minutes north, 20 minutes to go west. Like you are in the middle of everything, which makes everything so accessible. So, and I went to high school here in Parkridge, Maine South. I started personal training back in 2007. That's when it all started. Not exactly in Park Ridge, but up the street where I originally came from, which is another town outside of O'Hare called Norridge. Anyway, yeah, I started training in '07, and then when I went, well, I trained for 2 years in big box gyms, and then I went back to school to get my teaching license. That's where we met playing football, and I got my teaching degree, and I taught for 6 years. Throughout teaching, I was always training. And then in 2019, I stopped teaching fully just because I didn't feel like it was a good fit. I had to self censor, couldn't really be my true self. We're talking about our own core values and sticking to them and speaking your truth and finding your thing and going all in on that. I just felt very limited as a teacher. So I decided to go all in on myself and train and start picking it up. And then I started doing that again in 2018, 2019, and I haven't looked back. And then the gym kind of organically started to grow because I had all these customers and I was going to their home or their home gym. And I was renting at a small studio nearby. And then once the pandemic hit, a bunch of doors opened up and I just took everybody that I was training and I brought them to this space and it's been growing ever since. So it'll be 4 years in February.
dude, congratulations, man. That's an
Thank
awesome
you.
achievement.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you.
real quick, dude, your mic might be a little bit too high because at like those high ends, it breaks up a
Mm.
little bit. So I don't know if that's
Yeah, 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 yeah. A little bit better now.
oh, that's a little bit better. Yeah, yeah. It was like
Okay.
it was breaking up. It was kind of choppy. Yeah, it's a little
Okay.
bit.
Sorry.
No, that's good. Yeah, yeah. Dude, okay, so like so you brought everybody down there to this space, and now I've seen that you've been growing it. Do you guys have other coaches there?
Yeah, yeah. So everybody that works at Underground is an independent contractor. So I have no employees. Everybody rents space from me. I have a physical therapist, we have a chiropractor, and there's probably like 8 or 9 trainers that rent space through here throughout the day. Yeah, man. And like I came up with that. I mean, I don't know how you run your business with employees or independent contractors. Like I was an independent contractor for a long time. I was charging what I charged and I would pay a small rent fee. I thought this was a great way to kind of I guess incentivize trainers to, do what they need to do, build up their own business and stay at this place as opposed for me being like the top guy, handing out clients and doing all that stuff. A lot of times, I don't know how long you've been in the fitness industry, but what I've seen is that if you're the guy at the top and you're distributing customers and that's all you do is lead generation, then at some point your trainers are going to want to get paid more and they don't like that 50-50 split or 60-40 split or whatever it is. So the way I do it is I just take a small rent fee per session and then the trainers kind of just charge what they want and they're making the majority of that money as opposed to the majority going to the owner. So I feel that because I used to be in those shoes, I wanted to build a house for trainers like that to come in, bring their customers, train, create a space that's got very good vibe and a good culture, like we were talking about earlier. So it incentivizes people to stay. And then I also had this little caveat where if trainers make it up to a certain rep number, it's 25 sessions a week for 4 weeks. If they can stay there after that number, everything is rent free. So they're making 100% after they're doing, 25 sessions a week, which in the real world is a part-time job. So I create the space. I got all the state of the art equipment, brand new everything. It's in the middle of town. It's in the best location, and location is everything when it comes to like high service, right? So that being said, I came across this perfect location and a system that works where everybody wins. And like, that's how I think about things. I don't really feel that if one person's winning, everybody else can't. Like I have the abundance approach mindset here where I want trainers to come down here. We work together. We're developing our own systems. Everyone's their own boss. Although there is a set of rules here, I have protocols, but it's pretty loose. If people kind of, are professional and are speaking kindly with people and are nice to others and treating the equipment appropriately and all that stuff, like it's awesome. It works great. It's not like a dog eat dog type of environment, which you might find in other big box gyms, which maybe you have experience with.
Oh, dude, for sure. I get like I hate to do this because I just don't want like the
The
audio to
mic,
totally fuck up. The
so
mic, I think is there's something maybe wrong with the mic, but it's like
mm,
really kind of like fucked up. But you can like hear it,
it's
but like
fucked up.
it's something's going on with it, and it's like kind of coming through almost as if like too much is going in. But no,
Okay,
no,
maybe I'll stand away from it a little bit.
okay, dude, that's way better. That's actually way better.
Okay,
And
I'll stay right here.
okay, sorry about that, dude. I just don't
No,
like,
no, no.
you know what I
I
mean?
understand. I think audio is like, people aren't forgiving of of bad audio. So
That
I get it.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. But no, dude, yeah, this is like totally 100% a thing. I have W-2 employees and we work like as a team because of this thing that I've kind of developed here in my studio, which I call team training, which is basically where we can kind of accommodate clients in a way where you know, most of our clients have really busy, demanding schedules. They're usually pretty high performers in their careers, and they're
Hmm.
looking to like improve their movement, decrease weight, increase muscle, but just live with better quality of life. So, after a while of like kind of doing, 1099s, I was doing 1099s for a while. I was 1099 myself, and I've seen like where it works, I've seen where it doesn't, and same thing with employees, employee personal trainers. To I've seen where it works and seen where it's not. I think anything works. I think anything works as long as you're building the culture in the
Mm.
place, and then that like the people you bring in like kind of follow that culture. Like if you came in and somebody was just like, yeah, I think that oldest fucking hoo boo 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 shit you guys do with the mind, that would totally cramp your style and the people you bring in, wouldn't you say?
Oh, totally. I just had to get rid of somebody not that long ago because it was impacting the culture. And it was one of the hardest things I had to do. But like I said, I am culture first and then everything else is secondary. So yeah, yeah, dude, I get it, man. If somebody, I mean, somebody did come in and over time, I mean, people show you who they truly are after a certain little bit of time, and it either works with your culture or it doesn't. And if that's the case, you got to make those hard decisions, which, as owners we're faced with. But it's a learning process and you see what works and what doesn't work and you constantly tweaking and moving forward. I think that's what you're talking about here.
No, 100%. And you, dude, I was listening through some of your podcasts and you were talking about the importance of core values, mission, and vision. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
and just like knowing that, what is your, like, what is your culture, man? What are you trying to build? What are the core values, the mission of Underground, and how do you
Yeah.
find and cultivate that?
So from the beginning, before we even had a physical space, my mission for my training was to help people physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. That is the number one thing. An underground symbol is a green U, and green is for the heart chakra. So this gym, my style of training is coming straight from my heart, and I want people to know that that's where it's coming from. And through the workouts, we're helping each other, we're helping people physically, and then through understanding what your core values are, you're kind of fired up mentally and emotionally. And then we start to figure out how people can contribute to something bigger than themselves. So we do that process throughout our workouts. And it just so happens that conversation around the workouts unfold into what people's values are, what's really important to them, what lights them up, and then how to use those emotional levers appropriately so that you can fuel yourself in whatever it is that your endeavors are. Um, I think if you're behaving uh, not in alignment with what's important to you, then that's where distress starts to happen. And you might be doing something because the money's good, but it's not in alignment with what you want towards humanity or for yourself and whatever. And you're having this like fading, this ethical fading, but you're doing it because the money is good, the time it's convenient, it's an easy job or whatever the fuck. Um, when you're in alignment with those values every single day, then I feel like things in your reality start to kind of mold towards that, as opposed to living out of alignment with the things that are important to you. So I kind of experienced that a little bit when I was a teacher. It was a cool gig. I was working every day, long hours. I got to teach health. I got to teach fitness. I got to teach, coach soccer. It was awesome. I got to do all that stuff. But you had to be careful about how you taught and how you had to be careful what you thought about different policies and protocols. And God forbid you say something on a podcast that gets to a student or a teacher that isn't in alignment with the whole message of the school or whatever, like your livelihood is threatened. So I didn't like living every day with that type of pressure, that type of feel. I mean, it was kind of fearful, actually. Like I say, podcasting and having genuine conversation is a value of mine. I value communication, effective communication. And if I'm not able to express myself freely, I also think uh, just speaking freely is a value of mine. And if I wasn't able to speak freely, then this isn't going to work for the long term. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, that
So
wouldn't
I
work for
made
me.
yeah, it didn't work. It didn't work out. And Concordia was a teacher's college. So I spent 4 years, yes, playing football, but like altering my career so that I can get into this system of teaching and, doing that thing. And I also wanted to coach and be a head soccer coach and win state titles. I was very, very in alignment with that type of mindset and wanting to do that. It didn't fit long term. I wasn't able to express myself fully. I never found a teaching position that was good for me. It just when I thought I did, and I was there for a little while, it didn't feel right. It never
What was
felt right.
the
So
dude? What was that moment? What was that moment when you were like, "All right, I'm done"? What was that like? Did you like quit? Was it like a big falling out? How was the what was the transition like?
there was a couple times. So in my fifth and sixth year teaching, so I was teaching in the inner city for 3 years. And I jumped around from school to school to school because I didn't want to work in these environments that were, I mean, dangerous. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Like, there was police in school all the time. I had my first year. There was a gun threat against me, or just an altercation with a student that he was upset. Told me he was going to bring his gun to school, like that type of shit. Like, what am I doing? So I wanted to find the right school, and I thought the suburbs was going to be my answer. So finally, I got a job in a suburb school, which I thought was going to be my dream job. Then 6 months within that job, they said that they weren't going to have me for the next year. They weren't going to renew my contract. So I was kind of out. And they told me that in February, and I had to finish out the year. And once, like, they didn't even give me a reason. They just said, hey, it's not going to work out. And I was like, why? And they didn't give me any reasons for it. They just have the ability to not renew your contract if you're not a 10-year teacher. So I was kind of caught off guard. There was no conversations prior to that where I was like, hey, we're gonna give you a warning here. I didn't do anything wrong. They just didn't like that I questioned shit, and I realized that right away. Like, there were certain policies, for example, like there was a no percent, there was 0% of homework grade in the grade book. So kids would kind of catch on to this, and they wouldn't do their homework, and they wouldn't get reprimanded for it. So I was just making myself vocal, like, hey, if the homework scores don't show up in the grade book, then what are we giving homework for? So I was always like questioning policies and thinking about how I can bring my nuance and change things, but they don't want that. They want you to just follow the protocols and follow the policies, and that's that. So in February of 2018, they told me that they were going to have me back for the following year. So then I kind of just phoned it in, showed up, did my classes, but at the same time, I was building my personal training business up
Gotcha.
again. And then once that job was done, I just went right in and started training people,
Was it a
just like how I
massive
knew.
was it a massive investment when you like started underground? Was it a massive investment? Did you have to take a jump to make that happen? What was the process of
Yeah.
building that first year?
So good question. So I was taking like coaching jobs in the summer, and I had a couple of like substitute teaching jobs lined up just in case my clientele wasn't as, as built up as I wanted it to be. So yeah, I took some coaching jobs in the summer, and I was training people in the morning, I was training people in the nighttime. And then you know how it is. Like, once you start doing it and you do it well, they start telling people about you, and they're referring people left and right. That's how it started building up. So I put myself in position to get in front of the right people. And once they started understanding and feeling the benefit of what I was providing them, they started telling everybody else. And from there, it just kind of kept going. So yeah, man, I was training people at their house, in parks. I was just driving around with kettlebells, maces, and clubs in my car, different bands, different tools. And, it just worked out. And I was going from place to place. And then I was renting space, and I was just saving up. I was just like, whatever money I made, I would just put it away, put it away, put it away. And then when it came to this space that kind of showed up on my doorstep, so I was training these specific people. They owned the building that I was in, and a long story, but there was another studio that I was going to buy out the lease. Didn't end up working out. COVID hit. Then I started going to all these different places. Then these people who had this building, they're like, if you're still interested in owning a space, we have this space, come check it out. So that same day I went to check out the space. It was an unfinished basement. They asked me how much space I would need. It was open, 5,000 square feet down here, completely open. There was nobody down here. It was not even finished basement. So then I told them I would start out with 1,900 square feet. They built out the square, and then I took everything that I made and I just like put it back in. I bought flooring, all the new equipment, everything that we would need to start out. And then we just did it. We opened up February 2021. So like in the middle of the pandemic. And that was like when everybody was like, oh, we're going to wear masks and vaccine and all this bullshit that was coming out. And, we were small enough to like float underneath the radar. Like, I was the only one doing things without any masks or any sort of like vaccine card, any of that crap. Like, it was just like a small private training facility that people can come to and do their thing. So yeah, I put everything that I was making back into the gym. And yeah, I just started on my own, no partners, no nothing. And I just paid everything cash. and then kept making tweaks as the years went on. And then I want to say 2 years into the first part of the space, then we knocked down the walls and we expanded into the rest of the basement. So then we took over the entire 5,000 square foot. I have a chiropractor in here now. I got a physical therapist. And then, like I said, 9 other trainers that are renting space down here from all walks of life, kettlebell coaches, WEC method people. I got soccer strength coaches. I have, what else? Krav Maga. I have boxing coaches, just a variety of different trainers that come down and utilize the space. And it's been awesome.
Dude, hell yeah, man. I want to like dive into that kind of like non-conventional style. Like a lot of it's
Sure.
some of it's body weight, and then some of it's like these non-conventional stuff like Mace. I know you have like the clubs, and I love that stuff. I want to
Yeah.
dive into that stuff. But before
Sure.
dude, you have a before we get into that, and I imagine this is probably part of the answer. And I also want to know kind of like what got you interested in that. I mean, you were a kicker for in football. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be a coach for soccer. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
you know, kicking was huge for you. So obviously, movement and that. I kind of want to know where like the origin of this like efficiency and optimizing human movement comes from. Like why you are fascinated in that because
Yeah.
it is super interesting. But before that, dude, you have this. As your bio on Instagram, and I kind of want to pick this apart a little bit just to see where like kind of what your definitions are. But you have building a community around optimizing human potential through fitness and podcasting with
Mm.
community is, and you just kind of went over community. What do you mean by optimizing human potential? Like, what does human potential mean to you? How do you define that, and how are you optimizing that? And I imagine that's through like all of that functional, like non-conventional exercise. So go ahead.
Yeah. So like the whole optimizing of your human potential, this came to me when I was teaching a health lesson. Okay. I was in the inner city and I was teaching the kids Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And at the bottom of the pyramid is safety and security. And then it's building self esteem. And then from building self esteem, after you felt that you're safe and secure, you can reach your levels of potential. And I saw the definition of maximizing your optimal potential. It's living your truest version of yourself and living in that way day in and day out. And I was asking, and as I was writing and drawing the triangle on the board and putting all the levels of it up, in real time, I was doing the lesson and I was asking myself, I was like, am I right now living to my highest level of potential? Is this what it feels like? And my heart said no. So already there, this is my 3rd year teaching. I was like, shit, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not, there's parts of it that feel right, but I know I'm not living to my highest level of potential and getting the maximum out of whatever God's gifts are for me, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so I knew I had some work to do. So, I mean, going back to playing football, I was training conventionally, barbells, power cleans, hang cleans, deadlifts, bench press. Like I pride myself on being a jacked kicker. Like I wanted to be big and strong and fast like everybody else on the football field. So when I was doing that type of training, I never really saw that translate to the field. My kicks weren't getting any better. I wasn't getting any more distance on kickoffs. I wasn't feeling any better during the season. Like every year when I was playing football, I'd always have a hip issue. And probably some of that was consistency, not consistency with training, but the style of training and probably overuse of my leg. So like I'm paying attention to how my body's responding from the style of training, the amount of kicking, the consistency of the kicking, the consistency of the training. And I just felt like I wasn't my best version on the football field. So when I started, when college was over, I started getting into kettlebells first and I started swinging bells and I was feeling really good. And I kept kicking because I was kicking with a flag team and I was kicking 2-3 times a week still post college, playing flag football games on Sundays where I was kicking extra points, kicking field goals, kicking off, punting. So still very active. And I did that for 10 years. Not 10 years, 9 years. So close to 10 years, whatever. I'm still doing it now. I'm playing soccer, the fittest I've ever been, but I'll lead up to that. So I started getting into kettlebells and I stopped all the conventional training. I wasn't deadlifting heavy anymore. I wasn't bench pressing. Dude, before college was over, I was doing the bench press test. You know, in the NFL, they do 225 as many times as possible.
Yeah.
And I got it to 19 reps and I felt really good about that. That was before
Hell
my
yeah.
senior season. And then my senior year, we fucking sucked. My kicking was the worst ever. I had very bad hip problems and hamstring and groin issues. So I was like, this doesn't add up.
Yep.
Something is wrong. So then I started getting into kettlebells and then learning from the guys at ONNIT, the gym down in Austin, Texas, that Joe Rogan helped start. And then once I started learning from these coaches, I was like, wow, this stuff is pretty cool. I really like this style of training. It feels good in my body. And at the same time, I was still kicking and kicking better than ever. Kickoffs, field goals, punts. I was kicking further. I was kicking more consistently. My body
Mm.
felt amazing. Now, that was probably due to not kicking as much, and my training started changing up. I was doing a lot more single-sided stuff, cross-body stabilization exercises. I was doing a lot of ground mobility. I was doing a lot of stuff crawling and kneeling and a lot of this weird stuff that people like call unconventional, that was making me feel way better on the field. So I saw the transfer from one place to another that I didn't see when I was doing all the barbell stuff playing in college. Um, so that was like all I needed to see for myself. Like once I started really getting into kettlebells and using that as my primary source of training, not to mention like when you have kettlebells, dude, you have a gym anywhere. They're accessible as can be. You can train anytime, anywhere, and it doesn't have to be crazy heavy. It just needs to be right form. It needs to be fluid, and you need to keep consistent with it. And I was just changing it up from body, like I used to do upper body splits and lower body splits. Now I just train full body every time I train. So yeah, then I just started seeing the results on the football field. I was kicking better, and then I didn't have any hip pain anymore, and I just started feeling way more balanced. At the same time, like I started learning a little bit more about the nervous system and how that if you're using if you're using like unstable surfaces, or not unstable surfaces, rather unstable tools like a mace or a club or single-sided kettlebell, the opposite side of the body has to stabilize. So that's a nervous system thing. It's a musculoskeletal thing, but it doesn't happen unless the nervous system recognizes, hey, I'm out of balance here with my weight. My body needs to stay up taller or fight those forces of gravity and all that. So I started really learning about this stuff from the physical standpoint. And then I started learning a little bit more about meditation and breath work and how that can have a profound effect on the nervous system and get you into a calm state in the midst of chaos, right? Chaos inevitably hits, or situations kind of unfold when you don't expect them to, and you need to stay calm and observe and respond appropriately versus constantly reacting, all this. So in 2017, when I started the podcast, a friend of mine was like smoking pretty regularly, the guy I started the podcast with. And we started this challenge of 30 days of meditating to try to give him an opportunity to quit smoking. I went all in on the 30 days. Every single day, I did at least 10 minutes of just simple 6 seconds inhale, 6 seconds exhale. And then I really started to feel an effect of calmness and relaxedness, especially during chaotic environments. So, like a kicking situation, for example, anything could happen inside the snap hold kick. It's a very, very binary thing. You either make it or you miss it. So there's so much energy that's wrapped up into these kicks that I force myself to learn how to be as calm as I possibly can in these intense like situations. So I started doing those breath work every single day, and that just added to my tools and my toolkit. And I felt like if you can get calm during chaotic environments, then you can really feel like your natural tendencies, abilities, character, personality come to the top. And I was just observing these characteristics, these thought patterns, even good ideas that would come through. And I'm like, what is going on here? This
Yeah,
is
hell yeah.
something very interesting to me. So, yeah, man, my body was feeling good. I was calm and relaxed during chaotic environments. So then like when the whole teaching thing came about and like was in the situation where, I got a mortgage, I'm married, I didn't have kids at the time, but like there's pressure to make ends meet. And I had to make this switch. I understood what I needed to do. I got really calm around this scenario where I was very upset, and it still, I mean, 2 or 3 years after I finished teaching it, there was something still, like I was bothered. And I realized in the meditation that I was basically shunned from the teaching industry, or it felt that way. It felt like they didn't think that I was highly qualified. They didn't feel like I was highly capable of teaching at their school. And they just decided to let me go when I knew the truth. It was like, I know how high level of a coach I am. I know that I'm a leader, and I know that I have these skills that not a lot of other people possess, that I'm carrying out and expressing and showing that I'm capable. But I felt like people in academia, they don't care about that stuff. It's like, if you're either following our policy, and you agree with them, or you don't.
100%.
So there's no in between there. So when I did decide to like be done with it, I mean, I could have went to another school and an interview and did all this fucking dog and pony show bullshit on top of it. But I was just like, I had enough of that. It's like, it was done. I was done. I felt like I was shunned, like I said, and it bothered me for 2 years, 3 years after I left fully. But my point is that I realized that it was an unstable situation. I knew that I can get calm in this unstable situation, and I could reform myself. I can, figure out a way to make things work, and not just make things work, but thrive and
Dude, that's
feel. Yeah,
go
no,
ahead. I'm sorry, I don't
feel.
mean to
I
interrupt.
would say, like, feel like this was my true calling. I felt this to my core. Like, okay, this is what you're gonna do. This is how we're gonna do it, and you're gonna go all in, and you're gonna work, and you're gonna work, and you're gonna work, and you're gonna show that you're reliable. You show up on time. You always deliver a high level service. You connect with these people. You allow them to connect with you, and you understand deeply what they're looking for, and you deliver, and you give them what they're looking for. And then on top of it, I would start to improvise with my own style, and then introduce them to clubs and Mace, and learn a little bit more about what they were interested in, and then always deliver what these people wanted. And 80% of what they want, 20% of what they need. You know
Dude,
what I mean? Because
no, right, right.
if you give somebody a Mace right away and they're not ready
Yeah.
for it, it's one of those things you can't shove down somebody's throat. You have to like slowly build these things up. So you meet people where they're at, you deliver, and then little by little you start integrating some of these nuances, and you start developing trust with them, and they trust you, and then you develop and you move forward, and you develop their skills, and you learn some new concepts. And teaching these concepts were also very difficult, still very difficult for me, because they're unorthodox. You're side swinging, you're doing squats and presses offloaded, and there's a lot of hand switches, there's a lot of technique that you got to like clearly communicate effectively. And it's something that I've mastered the last 6 years.
Yeah, man, that seems like an interesting thing. And you sort of said this like not when I said unconventional, but when you said unconventional, you said it in a way that kind of made you not like. Do you not like that term for the stuff that you're working with
No,
now?
no, no, no. I call it unconventional training.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. I just wanted to, because I was like, huh, I wonder if like that's like a thing that I mean, in this world of not unconventional exercises, that's like not like a term you like to use. It is
No.
interesting about the central nervous system, though. I never thought about it that way. The throwing off your balance. I always tell people, if you feel unbalanced, if you feel like you're uncoordinated, that means that we're working it. So like if we're working this, then that's what that's basically the idea. But it's
Hmm.
interesting how like you're talking about getting the body to work together, and like to be kind of work in synergy by throwing it
Yeah.
off and throwing
Yeah,
and
yeah.
making yourself unbalanced.
Well, the
That's
body is a very adaptive thing, right? So, like, when you throw it in these uncomfortable situations, the mind will start to adapt. And it all comes back to like what you believe, the story you tell yourself, um, your emotion and energy behind things. You know what I'm saying?
totally.
I always think about having an elevated intention with an elevated emotion. Those things drive me. And then to find out what's important to people too as they are exercising, you start to learn those things and teach them how to pull those emotional levers appropriately to drive them and propel them forward, whatever they are: fitness related goals, relationship goals, business goals. It's like, what motivates you? Why does it motivate you so much? And how can you start to pull those levers appropriately? But then going back to like the physical side of things,
Right.
like left and right brain are working together. However, there are people that use their right side all the time. Like their personality is right side brain oriented. It's creative, it's turning the box upside down and doing things over. And then there's other people that are left brain oriented, numbers, spreadsheets, genres, form, organization. So to balance both hemispheres with your training will do a body very much benefit, you know, to
Right.
balance both hemispheres through breath work, through single-sided exercises, etc. Like
I
those
love
types
that.
of things, they put the nervous system back into a balance, which I think is really important to achieve highest level of potential. If you're too fight or flight, you're not going to be as creative as you need to be. But if you're too rest and digest, you might be a little bored. Not enough is pushing you and driving you to get to the next step. And we want to find that middle point, that middle ground, right?
Yeah, it's like putting yourself in a position where like going into the gym, you put yourself in a situation where you can't just be mindless. You have to be focused on what you're doing with intention, like
Mm-hmm.
you said. And then
Mm-hmm.
we're working these skills and trying to feel out your body while you're doing something that feels like that feels off, that feels unbalanced, uncoordinated. That really makes sense that you can build a greater self-awareness, which is like
Totally.
really the key aspect of like improving by any stretch of the imagination, is like you
Yeah.
have to be aware of yourself. And just working out alone, which is interesting. Would you think, because this kind of brings up this point, if you go into a gym and you like just jump on a machine and you're just like, all right, I'm going to work out, I'm just gonna sit on this machine and I'm just gonna fucking push away, and then I'm just gonna go like under a bench and just push away, and I'm gonna put a bar on my back and I'm just gonna squat away, all like single plane shit, where you don't really have to think about it as much, but you're still getting the workout. Do you think you could get the same effect you're talking about if you're doing all of the conventional exercises, because you're not having to
I,
put as much self-awareness?
I mean, I think look, I think I've been exercising for a long time, and I think the conventional ways of fitness is a great way for somebody who hasn't exercised to get their feet wet and get moving. I always am under the impression that some exercise is better than no exercise, whether it's conventional or unconventional. Like the concept of exercise is the thing there. The way you do it, is up to you. And depending on where the people start from, you know what I'm saying? Like I've been exercising since 2005. I got to a point where conventional exercise took me so far. And then I had to start switching things up. Honestly, dude, I fell out of love with exercise. I really did. I was working so hard during my during my college years that I thought that it would translate a little bit better, but it didn't translate to what I was looking for. You know what I'm saying?
No,
And
totally. Yeah.
nowadays I feel like, I'm a father and I train a lot of people who have children and I train a lot of people who have grandchildren. If you're not able to get up and down from the ground, if you're not able to carry groceries from your car to the house and from your house to the low parts of the fridge to the high parts of your pantry and vice versa, like what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? It's not all about
100%.
aesthetics, although I do feel like, I always want to look the part. I'm a fitness trainer, right? So I got to look the part. And it's important to me to look the part and feel the part and all that stuff. But for everybody else, like, yes, the aesthetics may be a goal, maybe goals, maybe what's driving people. And that's fine. That's the physical surface level of things. But then we start talking about the mental, emotional stuff. It's like, what the fuck is driving you? Why are you doing this? Is it all about the money? Is it all about the physical accolades? Is it all about the reputation? Is it all about the numbers? Like, what is it? If that's it, then that's fine. That's going to get you to a certain point. But at some point, the pain teacher is going to come in and teach you some sort of lesson. Maybe you're exercising a little too heavy. Maybe your nervous system is already in fight or flight, and pushing heavy and running all these miles isn't right for you. Right.
100%, man. And I
So
feel
it's like you got to figure that out.
I 100%. I always tell my clients that appearance follows function. If you want to appear a certain way, you first have to function well. And I
Yeah.
think that like if you are functioning well, if your body functioned well, if you feel good in your body, when you're going up and down the steps, getting up and down, and you're capable in life. Like, your mental is going to be a lot better. And if your mental is a lot
Mm-hmm.
better, then you're going to start to like shape your life around you to continue, because it's always the internal. It always starts inside your mind. And if you're going to use the platform of fitness and it's like the pain is the point, kind of mindset, which is like, I'm going to put myself through pain so that I have to be as aware as possible. I have to have as much intention in this moment as possible while I'm doing this thing. You take that skill of doing that for an hour, you bring that into everything else you're doing in life. Like, I just kind of feel like that is why fitness is so freaking good for your life. Not
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
not just like how you look. How you look is a result of you bettering everything else around you. Like,
Totally.
this is just a reflection
It's a
of like
byproduct.
of this thing. This thing
Yep.
doesn't get better and then your mind gets better. It's like your mind gets better because you like started to utilize these tools. This is why I love fitness, man. And also why I really wanted to have this conversation, because I know we're both on the same page with this. Because it's incredible
Yeah.
what you can do with your life when it comes
Yeah.
to fitness, when you push yourself in the fitness world. So
And on the other side, sorry not to
oh,
cut
go
you
ahead,
off,
go
but
ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
on the other side of that too, it's like you're not going to think your way out of a problem to a certain degree, right? If you're not moving and you're all in your head, then it goes back to the other side of the spectrum where you have to move your body. It doesn't matter how, just move it. And then that'll start clearing the mind and you can kind of reassess, go back to the drawing board and solve your problems that you need to solve. But again, if you're too much on one side or the other, you're going to suffer. Now there's struggle and then there's pain, right? The pain gets there, and that's like your message to stop. That's your message to reevaluate. But there should always be a little bit of struggle, right? There should be something sharpening you, right? Not to the point of crazy pain, but there definitely should be a little bit of an uphill battle, because that's how you're going to rebuild yourself and reshape yourself. Tell a new story in your head that you are capable, you are aware, you are improving, you're definitely getting the benefit. So you're changing the story in your head. But when you get to the point of pain, that might be a little dangerous, right? And it's
Yeah.
there as a feedback system in our body, right? The pain is there to teach us something and show us, hey, maybe this way isn't the right way. So like that's also something that I could kind of talk about too when I was doing the unconventional training. Like maybe I was overtraining, maybe I was doing a little too much, maybe I was kicking too much and I didn't have the right balance. Life is all about self-awareness. Life is all about finding the appropriate balance and the right amount of struggle, not to be too anxious ridden, but not to be too bored either. And if you find somewhere in that middle ground and also enjoy the process as you go through this, then you're going to start to change that reality around you, you know? So, I mean, in a nutshell, this is kind of my philosophy. There's a lot of ways that you could interpret this stuff, but developing self-awareness, understanding what it is that you're looking for when it comes to exercise, what your specific goals are, what's really important for you, and to behave in those ways when it comes to your training, running your business, your relationships, raising your children, whatever it is. Like you got to find the appropriate balance in everything.
Yeah, dude, there's no doubt there's a dichotomy to everything. And I always sort of tell people there is a massive difference between discomfort and danger. And so I think this
Mm,
is kind of what I think we're saying the same thing with different terms, but I think that's sort of the difference.
yeah,
But if you are to get good at a thing, then you have to become very familiar with both, which
for
means that
sure.
just because you reach pain, that like or danger, doesn't mean it's a bad thing. You don't know what danger or pain, like bad pain, is until you're there, so it's like
Yeah,
it's
for
not
sure.
important. It's not important that you try to never reach it, because sometimes you just push yourself, be ambitious, give it a shot.
Sure.
But then it's like, to your point, it's like but that's the goal, isn't to like hurt yourself and like you can't
Right,
walk
right,
anymore. That's not the
right,
goal
right,
either. Then
right.
you're totally fucked. So dude, the next thing I guess would be like, why do the podcast? Why start the podcast, and how is that helping you help people optimize their human performance on top of the fitness aspect?
So, podcasting, I love just naturally having conversations with people. And I realized, probably like 2017, 2018, when I did have conversations, they were around like life, philosophy of living, what's important, what's not important. Like, why are we working for all this money and everybody's got all this idea around, 5, 6 days of working and then resting on the weekends and all this stuff. Like I was always wondering, like, what the fuck? Is there a smarter way to do this? So having conversations and like just naturally, I don't know if you remember too, like when we were in college, I would have all these conversations with all the younger guys, making them feel comfortable there, talking about life, talking
For
about
sure.
sports, talking about career and, you know, relationships, all this stuff. So like I love just having conversations and connecting with people. And then I started listening to podcasts when I was teaching. I really got into Colin Cowherd's podcast. It was a sports podcast. I loved his points. I was into football and all, basketball and fantasy sports and all this shit. And then I realized one day, it's like, I love the philosophy aspect of how he relates and makes his points, but I started caring less about like sports. I wasn't really into the whole stats and all this shit anymore. I started losing my love for understanding all that and following it. So I stopped caring. So then I was like, I need to find a new show to listen to. And then I started listening to Rogan. And the fact that that guy just sits down with people and has these conversations for 3 hours, I just I couldn't get enough. Like I was so excited to finish my workday at school, to jump in my car for like a 90-minute drive for what it was my first 3 years, throw on a podcast and just get lost in a conversation between Rogan and whoever he had on. And I realized that there was a lot of my values that he embodied too. Free speech, having yourself be expressed fully, find your thing, take it to the highest level that you can possibly take it, be elite, master skills, and show other people the ropes and teach other people the ropes. So I started listening to Rogan and I was like, man, I can fucking podcast too. This
Yeah,
is
for
like
sure.
something I can easily do. I just set up it, set up a microphone, set up whatever you need, just invite the people over, set it up, and boom, start doing it. So when I was teaching my second to last year, I started the podcast because I hit a goal of mine to get a suburban school teaching job. So I was like, okay, I got that job. What's my next goal? Let's start this podcast. So I started podcasting. We did it every week for like 30 weeks, me and a friend of mine. And 2, 3, 4 of those episodes in the 30 episodes that we first did, there was like 3 or 4 fitness guys that I interviewed that I had met through my career working at FFC and Valley Total Fitness. And I started interviewing them and just asking genuine questions about how they started things and all that stuff. So through the podcast, I was interviewing these people that are already doing this work, owning a gym, training customers. And then I just naturally started asking questions about how they did it. So I was getting this education on how to do it. And I didn't even think that I was going to do it, but it was already like ingrained in my subconscious how these guys did it, that I was like, okay, I bet you I can do the same thing. So the podcast was this thing that just opened up all a bunch of opportunities. So I started interviewing people. I created deeper relationships and rapport with these people. They taught me all this life lessons and lessons about fitness career and all this. And the more people I'd interview, the more information I'd get, the more I'd open up my network. And next thing I know, like I'm training more and more. And now it's gotten to the point. So I've been podcasting since 2017.
Yeah.
But my fitness business has grown so much that I'm fucking training every hour from
Yeah.
6 a.m. to 4:30, which is a great problem to have. But now I'm at that point. It's like podcasting, as you know, is a full-time job
It's
on
a
top of
lot of
this,
work. It's a lot of work. Yeah.
right? It's editing, it's making clips, it's putting the audio up, it's overlaying the intro and the outro, and then putting in the things that you might want to sell or the things that you want to, promote and all that stuff. And it's like, fuck,
Yeah.
it's a lot of work. So you got to start hiring people. And I went down that road of hiring a guy a couple times and helping me with editing and doing all this stuff. But I don't know, there's something about the whole backside of the podcast world
Oh,
that
man.
if I don't go all in on it, I'm not going to just do it half ass. And I just don't have, like, I'm not setting up myself appropriately with time to do it once a week anymore. So like
Yeah.
the fact that you asked me to come on your show, reignites my love for this stuff. And I
Yeah.
remember how much I actually love having these conversations and taking an hour from my training day to do this. And it's just, you got to do it every week, and then you got to take all the content, and then you got to chop it up nicely, and you got to take the audio, and let's say the audio's shit, and now you got to redo it. It's like all this stuff, and I'm sure you know really well. But the podcast at the end of the day has helped me open up my network. It's gotten me all this education. It keeps me current. I have a deeper relationship with people. People realize that I am capable, reputable, and a solid person. I know my shit, because you can't, like, you can't. If you're talking to somebody for an hour and you have hours of your episodes on for people to see who you are, you can't fucking fake that. You are who you are, and that information's out. People are going to know who you are. Doesn't matter what shit people are talking about you here and there. Like, people can really get to know you from these long form conversations. And I feel like I've developed that type of relationship, or what do you call it, reputation amongst people, because they know who I really am. I'm the same person. I'm just sticking to my truth, sticking to what I know, ask questions that I'm curious about asking and want to learn about, and go from there. I'm not trying to like have this political agenda. I'm not trying to like have a specific agenda in mind. I just love free flow conversation. So yeah, man, like, it built up my network. It taught me a ton. It makes me relevant and keeps me out there. People start seeing and learning all the stuff that I'm talking about and preaching, and people trust you because they've felt like they've got to know you through listening to your long form stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really important to do that stuff. And I see you killing it, bro. You're an inspiration.
Oh,
You're
thank you.
very passionate, and it's fucking awesome to see. And kudos to you, because it's not an easy job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, dude. That's no bullshit, man. It's such a fucking, it is a minimum of 6 hours a week to do one episode a week. I just did a 48-hour run to build some money for my mother-in-law, who was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And it was a massive success, but training for running 48 hours nonstop is a lot.
Jesus,
So
man.
there was about 4 weeks where I wasn't able to get to editing or do any podcasting, because I was like running the business and I was training, and those were the only really two. Oh, my wife is also pregnant, so my wife is 20 weeks pregnant
Congrats,
right
man.
now. Thank you, I appreciate that. So it's like all of this stuff happening. I had to like take it, because it is like, if you're not like going. But I will say this, dude, just fucking keep doing it though, because you're really good at it. And it is
Oh,
very,
thanks.
yeah, I was listening to your podcast. I listened about 3 year podcast before this talk right here. You're good at this fucking thing, dude. You should need to keep doing this. And it is exactly what you're saying. It's networking, it's building relationships, dude. I can feel that you're genuinely just having the conversation. You can feel that. So like, when you can feel that, that's good podcast. That's it. That's all you need to do. Like, the quality of it. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you on the quality, dude. Fucking, but here's the thing. It just fucking keep doing it. Keep going out.
Yeah,
Like,
I need to hear that. Thank you.
get it oh shit, get it doable, man. That's all. That's what
Yeah,
I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. That's what we all are doing. Just get it doable. Be out there, talk, man, because you're
yeah.
inspiring the fuck out of people, and the things that you're doing online are extremely valuable. I'm looking at it. I'm like, damn, I need to do this shit. I'm not doing this shit.
Thank you.
I want to do this type of shit. So keep doing it, man. Because like, putting those exercise videos up that you put up, where you're running through the flow state, which I want to talk
Yeah,
about
yeah.
flow state. But like, and I know we don't have much time here, but like 8 minutes left. But like,
Keep it going. It's all good.
but in any case, like, it is. Oh shit! I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Fuck.
You were talking about keep doing the podcast, keep
Keep doing
talking about.
keep doing the podcast. Get yourself out there. I mean, audio first for quality. Get any kind of video out there, dude. But keep doing it. Just keep doing it. Find a way to get an hour in there, man. Because like, all the people that you fucking work with, they're definitely wanting to continue to listen to that. So I don't think
Oh,
they're
thanks, man.
keep doing that shit. It's killer, dude. So yeah, man. Fuck yeah. You just don't worry about the quality. Get the video out. Get the fucking audio out.
I fucking needed to hear that. I needed to hear that because, like, sometimes I get overwhelmed with training and running this business and all this stuff that it's sometimes I don't have an hour to like take a load off for myself. And anytime I got a free hour, it's like I just want to sit and just regather my thoughts, because when you're training back to back to back to back to back hours, you're taking in the energy of all these people back to back to back to back. And if you're not careful, and you're not like alleviating yourself of all the energy that you're taking on from all these people, you're going to bring that home, and friction can start to happen, and me and my wife and I have an amazing relationship. We have this family, and it's just like nothing else matters in the world unless like my family is taken care of and is healthy. So the last thing I want to do is bring bullshit energy home and create that level of friction, because it's just not healthy. But yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I needed to hear that because like I do love this. Like having conversations with people is so fun, and it's like we're all more alike than we are different. And in this weird time where everything is so divisive, and everybody's like at each other's throats on different political things. It's just like at the end of the day, dude, we all want health. We all want happiness. We all want to feel whole. We all want to feel that peace. And I think at the end of the day, like the service that I'm bringing to my people is that, it's high level service. They're getting good workouts in. They're in a facility that's clean and nice and safe place to just be yourself and express yourself to the fullest. Like that's one of the greatest things that I feel so grateful about just working here, is that like I can be myself to the highest degree every single day without any sort of repercussion. Like I'm just me. And that is the best thing ever about this job. I don't care how crazy it gets sometimes. Like I get to be myself, and that feels so fucking good, man. And
Dude,
then I
hell
know
yeah.
other people feel it, you
Hell yeah,
know?
man. That's why it's like, dude, if you're doing all of the intro stuff and the music stuff, dude, just get rid of that for now and just do
Yeah,
just hit
put
record.
the
Have somebody come
yeah.
on, hit record, and throw it up. Just fuck it, dude. Doesn't need to be like
Yeah.
this big long thing. It doesn't need to be this big production, dude. Because it like
Yeah, you're right.
just throwing it up will take you 6 hours a week, and but people want to hear it, and you're good at it, and we more people need to hear this type of you have the right experience, the right perspective around it. I mean, dude, you're talking about fitness. You're talking about the color of your logo is green because of the fucking heart chakra, brother.
Yeah.
More
Yeah, yeah,
people
that's
need
true.
more people need to hear the words of love that you have. So do get rid of all that
Thanks,
weird stuff.
man.
It has to be this major production, man. So well, yeah,
That's true.
what is the thing? What is the thing? Is there one thing that you can articulate that is like like your fire, your drive? It gets you out of bed at night and gets you into that. What is that, dude? What is that thing that's driving you right now, dude?
Well, I feel like people are unhealthy today. And I think people are also confused about health and fitness, longevity, wellness. What it means to be, healthy is different for everybody. I mean, as we were growing up, we were, I mean, I don't want to say duped, but that food pyramid, eating 6 to 11 servings of grain and cereal and bread per day. It's like, it's no wonder why 2/3 of kids are pre-diabetic and potentially will have diabetes by the time they're adults. It's like, all right, there's something going wrong here. Why people in their 30s, 40s, 50s are having turbo cancers, or these real autoimmune issues, dementia, Alzheimer's is another thing that's happening all over the place, that at least somebody will have an experience of taking care of somebody with Alzheimer's or dementia. Like these types of things are gut wrenching to families. It destroys families. It destroys the dynamic of families. And I experienced that with my grandparents, and watched my mom take care of my grandparents, and I saw them deteriorate slowly over the course of 7 years. And that to me is disturbing, especially like when it starts happening to people earlier and earlier. And, you know, I'm 36, and I feel the best that I've ever felt. My weight is at high school weight. My muscle mass is higher than it's ever been. I'm playing soccer and kicking ass and kicking football still better than I was when I was in college. Like I know this stuff works, and I just want to do my part to make a small dent in humanity.
Yeah, dude.
That's what fucking drives me. And the fact that like I say I'm going to do something, and I'm going to commit to that and stick to that, like people see that I'm a trustworthy person. I speak the truth. I follow through on my things. And like that means more to me than anything. And like I want to make a small dent in and helping people with healthcare and whatever wellness means to them. But I also want to show my son like what it means to like contribute to something bigger than yourself. Like take your God-given skills, figure them out, utilize them how you need to do them, take them to the highest degree possible, and help humanity in some way, shape, or form based on what God has given you and the nurturing of your environment as you've kind of grown up. Like I'm fortunate to have amazing parents that pushed me to do the things that I needed to do and be myself. And they helped me with my personal training certification when I was 18. They put me in position to be successful. So I'm fucking grateful for that. There's a lot of people that grew up without a dad or without a mom or without that love that I had. And like I've felt it, I've experienced it, and I know what that feels like. So I give it the same way like I was given it. So that being said, like that all drives me. I want to make a dent into helping humans feel better, look better, and understand what the fuck consciousness is. There are so many people that kill themselves because they're in pain and they don't want to feel this pain anymore. And that's so fucking sad to me. It's like life and this gift that we've been given is so precious and so beautiful, and the things that we could experience with each other are amazing. Things that I've experienced myself, just like having an awesome wife, having amazing customers, having this fucking culture, like that all can be built. You can do it. People are doing it. They're just finding their own unique way to do it, and tapping into your own uniqueness is what my philosophy is, and we start with the physical, we get our bodies right, then we start to understand a little bit deeper, like what is important to us. And then once you figure out what's important to you, you live in alignment with those things, period.
100%.
And like that drives me every single day. Like I'm a man of integrity. I need to show my kid that. And the only way you show him that is by actually doing that.
Yeah.
So like every single day, like I'm driven from those things, man. And like, that's what really, really like gets me going.
Fuck yeah, man. Beautifully said. Dude, I don't want to, I know you had to get out of here. I only got one more question for you, man. I would do a fucking 3-hour podcast with you, man.
Yeah.
I've loved
We'll
this
do this
so
again.
much. Yeah, for
we'll
sure.
do this again.
Dude, yeah. So look, and so thank you so much. Thank you for coming on the pod, brother. This is the last question I got for you, man. If and I ask this to everybody that comes on the pod, because I'm interested in knowing, and imagine that like if you had this opportunity just given to you, I always wonder what people would say. So like if you had the opportunity right now to speak to every single person on the planet, if right now everybody tuned in onto this podcast and they were listening to your voice, 8 billion of them beautiful souls, man, what would your message be right now? Go.
Find the things that light you on fire, really know what those things are, and take that to the highest level possible. The reality that you are creating is the feeling that is inside of you. So whatever you believe, however you see yourself, is what your reality could be. So find those things that really light you up. Find those things, build those skills up day in and day out, and enjoy the process along the way. Everything that happens to you is an opportunity for learning. It's an opportunity for growth. Shift your perspective to make it positive and think about what can I learn from these scenarios and these situations that unfold, and move on forward. And not only are you helping yourself figure it out and fill up your cup, but you're helping other people also fill up their cups. I would say fill up your cup first, so that you have energy to give out. But find those things that light you up, whatever those things are, and take it to the highest level. Believe in yourself, learn from every single scenario, every situation that happens, and just love yourself, love everybody else, and keep it moving forward.
Hell yeah, man. Danny, thank you for coming on the podcast, man.
Dude, thank you, Jordan, man. I really appreciate it.
Dude, this has been a great conversation, man. It was good listening to like your story, man, and how you came up and like why you do functional fitness and everything, man. Thank you so much. This won't be the last time. I want you back.
No, definitely not. I'll have you on my show too, and you sparked me up to keep podcasting, and I'll keep doing it because I needed that. So appreciate you, dude.
Hell yeah, man. I want to listen to what you got going on in the pod, brother. So you got to freaking give me an episode. You know what I'm saying?
I will. I
Thank you for
will.
coming on. Thank you everybody for jumping on the podcast. If you made it this far, you are the real ones. Thank you so much. That's badass. You know what all the fitness influencers and all the influencer people say about the stuff you do in the comments, and you can find Danny. Danny, where can they find you? And
On Instagram on Instagram and YouTube, on TikTok at Danny Cola Fitness. And if you're interested in learning a little bit more about my gym, you can check us out on Instagram too at underground.fit.
And you can find all that down in the description. Danny, thank you so much, my man. We will see you next time. And everybody,
Thank you, brother.
always remember, think big, live better. We'll see you on the next one.